And what we found out very soon was that the rights of the man on trial for murder exceeded the rights of the victim. And we also learned that the victim isn't only the dead person, the victim are the people around the dead person who loved her and so forth. And it was astonishing how badly we were treated in that courtroom in Santa Monica, California. It was astonishing the judge whom we grew to hate. He mispronounced my daughter Dominique's name for 9 weeks. Notes were sent to him, everything he ignored. He mispronounced her name. Now, the killer, a great big 6 foot, I don't know what, huge guy, we were seated right near him. We could almost have touched him. And he was dressed, costuming is very important in trials these days. And he was dressed like a sacristan in a Catholic seminary, and he carried a Bible. And you know, it's astonishing, but juries fall for that stuff. It's like Leslie Abramson with the 2 Menendez brothers, and she dressed them in Shetland sweaters to make them look like preppy boys and would look at them lovingly. And these are killers we're talking about. The Menendez brothers had fired 16 shots from a 12-gauge shotgun into their parents' faces. And they fought Lenny, my former and late wife, was one of the great women ever that I have known in my life. She also had multiple sclerosis and was in a wheelchair for many years. They did everything to keep her out of the trial. They didn't want the jury to see the mother of the dead girl in a wheelchair because it might cause sympathy. And we were told in the courtroom, it was read out in front of everybody, if any member of the Dunne family cries out, rolls his eyes, exclaims in any way, they will be removed from the courtroom. My son Alex, who's not here, my middle boy, was the middle child, the sensitive child. He and Dominique were the closest brother and sister I ever saw, I ever knew. He worshipped her. And one day, the defense attorney said, "Your Honor, Alex Dunne has tears in his eyes." And Alex Dunne was removed from the courtroom. Then a woman showed up. Sweeney had beaten my daughter on several occasions. And a woman showed up, beautiful woman, called Lillian Pierce. She had been the girlfriend of the man who killed my daughter before she became, you know, anyway. She came, she had been beaten 10 times. She took the stand, but not in front of the jury. And she told the most horrific tales. Twice she was hospitalized from what he did to her spleen or a thing. I mean, this was a monster man. And this fascinating thing happened. He had tried to set up the romance with my daughter as this sort of tragic thing, a blue-collar worker in love with the Beverly Hills society girl. And, you know, bull. The prosecutor said to this woman, "Let me ask you, Miss Pierce, do you come from a well-to-do family?" And all of a sudden, that got to this guy. He was huge. He stood up in the courtroom He went crazy. It was a man in total, out of control, complete rage. Rage. A man who would kill. And we all watched it, except there was no jury. And we all saw that. And I don't know where he thought he was going, but the court clerk, Lillian Pierce, and the witness box, they screamed, buzzers were pushed, guards ran into the room. It took 4 guards to tackle him to the ground, and then they shackled him to the chair he was sitting. And I waited for what the judge was going to do to this madman. And the judge said, "We know what a strain you are under, Mr. Sweeney." It was revolting. It was revolting. The judge also ruled that Lillian Pierce's stories could not be told to the jury, who did not ever know that it was a pattern of behavior, not an isolated act. As Liz said, it was a joke. It was a naughty boy, naughty boy. He got 2.5 years. 2.5 years. He had strangled her for 5 minutes. And the judge said, as the jury was being dismissed, "Justice has been served." He knew then that they would hear in the papers about Lillian Pierce and the other women. And so he said, "Do not ever doubt your decision." And then he thanked the jury on behalf of both families. I had sat in that courtroom in silence for 9 weeks. I never said a word. He was awful to Lenny, my wife, when she was a witness on the stand. He was rude to her. And I rose from my seat and I said, "Don't thank them on behalf of my family, Judge Katz." Judge Katz turned, he was utterly shocked that anyone should challenge him he looked at me, he called the bailiffs to have me taken out of the courtroom, and I pushed Lenny in the wheelchair to the court doors, and in a moment of my life that I am very proud of, I turned back and I said to the judge in the courtroom in front of all, "You have withheld evidence from this jury about this man's history of violence against women." I still am proud of myself for that. I also made every paper the next day. I was headlines in the Nogales, Arizona. But you know, the thing has not changed. I have recently covered the Phil Spector trial, and what they did to this tragic actress whom he shot in the mouth, what they did to her at that trial, how they, you know, they kill him and then they kill him again in the trial. It was shocking. It was shocking how Mrs.